Welcome to the Saturday Sports Line. Since 1969, the premier sports show about local high school sports, featuring coaches, players, and special guests. Now, here is your host of the Saturday Sports Line, Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI Sports Director, Mitch Columbi, and sports analyst, Chris McGowan.
The Blue Jays are going to win this one. Final score tonight will be 39-10 as the Blue Jays move to 6-0 on the season. A big win for them, a tough loss for the Culver Military Eagles as they are 1-5 on the season.
And a good morning to you here on the Saturday Sports Line from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios. I am Mitch Columbi, and we are so glad to be here with you. Let's catch you up on some scores from last night. You just heard the final call from last night. It was our game of the week. The North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays hosted the Culver Military Academy Eagles, coming away with a big win, 39-10, as you just heard. We move on into other scores around the area. The Culver Cavaliers, Mike Zehner, coming off a big win last night over Winamac. It was a close one, 26-20, as we'll talk to both coaches here this morning. We look at the Knox Redskins, a tough loss against LaVille. You know, we keep hearing about LaVille and how we're going to see LaVille later on in the season. I haven't seen LaVille. Knox does a pretty good job against LaVille, 20-21. We'll have to find out how that final score came to be a little bit later on, as it was a close one for homecoming here in Knox. And then, like I mentioned, the Winamac Warriors, another tough loss to the Culver Cavaliers last night. Buzz Schoff and his South Central Satellites of Union Mills traveled to Lake Station last night. They lost 20-30, a tough loss for them. They were coming off a win last week from Osceola Grace. As we now talk about the West Central Trojans. The West Central Trojans won big last night at South. They went to South Newton last night, 56-26. I've got Marc Hall on the line. Let's bring him in. Marc, good morning. How are you?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
Well, I'm doing great now that I look at your final score, 56-26. Tell me a little bit about what type of atmosphere last night was for your Trojans against South Newton.
It was a good atmosphere. There was a little drizzle throughout all of pregame, and throughout the game there was off and on drizzle, so it was a nice fall football weather day. And South Newton was at 4-1, just like we are, and they were 2-0 in conference, just like we are. And it was a good conference game, a lot of hard hitting that took place. And the first quarter was kind of a slow moving quarter, and both teams just kind of feeling each other out. And at the end of the quarter, South Newton was up 8-6. We had stopped them on their first drive, went down and scored, and they went down and scored on their second drive. And then we were in the middle of our second drive at the end of the first, and then the second quarter, there was a lot of scoring that broke out. We ended up scoring 3 times and putting 22 points on the board, and they scored twice and had scored 12. So at halftime, we were up 28-20, and we had a chance that we could have made it a little bit more, but we missed on a pass that got intercepted that gave them an opportunity to score right before halftime to make it 28-20. And at halftime, we talked to the kids about, we're doing fine. It's just defensively we got to fix some things and contain some people a little bit better, because we were letting too many people get free on the back end and not staying with our man. And we did a lot better job in the second half of that. We also got more pressure from the defensive line in the second half to help with those things. And we came out in the third quarter, got the ball, and went down and scored, and pushed the lead to 34-20, and then South Newton responded right back, and they scored on a passing play and closed it to 34-26. And then we scored again one more in the third quarter there to push it to 42-26. And then in the fourth quarter we added 2 more to make it 56-26. And so early on it was a back and forth game. And in the second half, we ended up closing them out, outscoring them 28-6.
Wow!
And the kids just played a great game. They kept doing what we wanted them to do, and offensively, we had 398 yards of offense on 60 plays, and We had great efforts from the offensive line up front. Joe Jackson, Buzz Beiswinger, Max Scholes, Blake Hughes, and Zach Gilger were creating some huge holes for us to be running in. And then our backfield was doing a nice job finding the lanes and doing what they needed to do and hold on to the ball because the grass was wet last night. There was some drizzle, so did a nice job holding on to it. We didn't have any fumbles. We did have one interception, but we were able to also take the ball away from them a couple times. We had 2 interceptions on the night that we had, and then we also recovered a fumble. So defensively, we were doing some good things, but offensively, we had just great effort all around from different guys. We had Connor Marlatt had 8 carries for 59 yards last night. He was 10 out of 12 throwing for 96 yards and 2 touchdowns last night. Aiden White had 6 carries for 61 yards. He had 6 catches for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns. Spencer Lehman had 7 carries for 88 yards and 4 catches for 29 yards. And Jacob Pilarski had 21 carries for 61 yards last night. He was more, and also 3 touchdowns. He was our short yardage workhorse last night. And then defensively, we had great efforts from Spencer Lehman again, who led us in tackles. Zion Rodriguez, he's the one who really turned the game in that first half. It was that back and forth, and we were able to get a cushion and get a 2-score cushion there because of Zion on a kickoff. He hustled down there, and the South Newton kid, I don't know if he was expecting the ball was going to roll out of bounds, but didn't cover it, and we were able to recover it at the 20-yard line and get a score right away and put it into a 2-score cushion for us. And then he also had an interception last night as well. Aiden White had an interception last night that returned for a touchdown. And that was our last score in the fourth quarter with about 7 minutes to go that we were able to pretty much finish the game off that way. But great overall, just team effort.
Yeah.
The defensive line, second half, started getting after it up front, getting pressure on the quarterback, and that helped our guys on the back end to be able to do some more of the things by getting some pass deflections, getting some interceptions, and doing a lot better job of not letting them get behind us and getting scores.
Well, I'm flying solo today. I don't have Chris to give you the tough questions, so sorry about that. I'll have to give you the softballs today.
That'll be fine.
I had a chance to talk with your athletic director, Jeff Messer, in his first year at West Central. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with him and how he's doing so far with the football season and other sports going on. I know that you and the athletic director, head coaches and athletic directors have to work together really tough. Tell me about that relationship a little bit and how that works out.
Yeah, it's a growing one. He's been there. I think he started sometime in the middle to end of July. I think it's more towards the end of July. So it's been for him a learn in progress because he's just thrown in there, and there's a lot of stuff that athletic directors have to take care of. So it's been a big difference for him from what he used to do, but he's getting caught up, I think. He's trying to make sure all schedules are taken care of and doing all the things he needs to do. So I think he's starting to get more comfortable with it, which is good, and that'll continue to come with time. But we've had some good conversations and had some yesterday we were able to have good conversations about putting one of our trophies in the case yesterday from the North Newton game. So things are going good. He's doing a nice job, and hopefully that just continues, and we can get somebody who's going to stay for a while and not have to not change like we have the last few years. I think he's now going to be like the 5th one in 5 years. So hopefully we can get some continuity at some point.
We're talking with head coach of the West Central Trojans, Marc Hall, in his 9th year as the head coach there. Boy, this 9th year is looking pretty sweet so far. Marc, do you have any comment on that?
The kids, they're playing great, and they've had some rough couple years, and they've stayed with it, and that's a credit to them that they've understood what our vision for them has been, and just keep plugging away at it, keep believing in each other, and coming after it each day, and it's finally starting to pay off, and I'm just excited for the kids. They get to experience this because this is all that hard work they've been doing is starting to pay off, and it's nice to see for those guys that, especially the juniors and seniors, that have been in this for longer that haven't had as much success in the past, or the younger guys, they haven't had to go through as much yet. But it's good for all of them to experience this.
Well, that's what Harold Welter and I were talking about yesterday here at the station. He said, the fact that he's been able to see where the first year you started and now looking at where you're at here in year 9, it just is the full story. It's not just one season. It's the whole story of the school and the coach and the success that you've had. And it's a huge testament to the time that you've put in. 5-1 is nothing to scoff at, and you are doing fantastic. You look forward to Winamac next week. Tell me a little bit about what you know of the Winamac Warriors.
Well, this year they've only got one win so far, and that's something that we're going to have to throw out for this game. It doesn't matter what any of the records are, and it's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be their side of the county versus our side of the county, and it's going to be 4 quarters of trying to hit each other as hard as we can for all 48 minutes, and it's going to be one of those games that at the end of it, you're probably going to be pretty sore, but if you're on the winning side, you're going to be happy, and you aren't even going to notice. So that's what we're going to be looking forward to, and this week, just getting the preparation for it and going over there and hopefully performing the best that we can.
Well, we'll be at that game. I'm so looking forward to it. I haven't had a chance to meet you in person, but I will be there. I'll be on hand, God willing, and we'll make sure to broadcast a good game. We're expecting a good one from you guys as both teams, Winamac hungry for a win, and you guys ready to continue that success. Marc, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much, and hopefully next week we'll have some more tough questions from you when Chris gets back.
Well, I don't know about that. Hopefully we can continue with the easy ones. That's a lot easier for me. So, but, all right, hey, thank you, and look forward to seeing you on Friday.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot. That's Marc Hall, head coach of the West Central Trojans, coming off a big win last night at South Newton. We're so happy for him. As we're going to move forward here on the Saturday Sports Line, we've got head coach of the Culver Cavaliers, Mike Zehner, coming up next. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
Now your kiss has lost its glow, and so we find ourselves holding on to precious memories the way we used to be.
At First Farmers Bank and Trust, we've been serving family farms for over 130 years. We've seen our customers succeed in good times, pull through in tough times, and we've learned some lessons along the way. So we appreciate the customers we have today by finding the solutions they'll be looking for tomorrow. Are you ready to talk about your farm operation? Stop by a branch or visit us online at ffbt.com. First Farmers Bank and Trust. Equal Opportunity Lender. Member FDIC.
Welcome to Marian University's newest location, Ancilla College of Marian University. Marian's newest campus location in Plymouth is your home for an on-campus college experience. From living in the dorms to being a collegiate student-athlete, Marian University is ranked 3rd most innovative Midwest university by U.S. News and World Report. For more information about our 2- or 4-year degrees, go to www.marian.edu/Ancilla. That's www.marian.edu/Ancilla.
Let's continue the conversation with area high school coaches and more on the Saturday Sports Line.
The kick is up and away, a deep kick. Well, not really, up to about the 20-yard line. It looks like that's Gabe Ellis who's going to return it. He gets it back to about the 30-yard line. He cuts back over to the right side. He's got a little more room as he's cutting back over to the left side. Now he's going up the middle. He gets it to about the 33, 34-yard line before it takes a pack of Eagles to bring him down. Gabe Ellis with a heck of an effort, as that will stop the clock at 2.6 seconds here in the first half.
It was a pretty cool highlight, Gabe Ellis last night. He was all over the field. We called his name several times on both sides. We'll have a chance to talk to Brett Lambert here in a little bit, but on the line right now is head coach of the Culver Community Cavaliers, Mike Zehner. Let's go ahead and bring him on in. A big win last night against Winamac, 26-20. Looks like it was a tight, contested effort on both sides of the ball. Mike, tell us what we need to know.
Hey, it went well. Thanks for having me, Mitch.
Of course.
I think the biggest thing is we got out to a quick start. We won the toss. We elected to defer and to the second half, and then ended up kind of plooping up the kickoff. It hit a kid right there on the chest, and we ended up recovering, to start the game, and then took that possession down and scored. I think a couple plays later, when they got the ball back, we forced a fumble and recovered it and took that down to score. So, didn't get the conversions, but ended up being 12-0 real quick there. And I think that helped. We had some good momentum, being at home and being Military Appreciation Night. I said this before, it was Military Appreciation Night where, we've done a nice job at Culver in getting kids into the service and serving their country. And, to wear the jerseys last night and honor those guys. We have a young man on the team by the name of Ian Brown who he did his basic training this past summer and didn't get to play against North Judson. Wasn't back.
Wow.
He got back, I think, that day and came back and got to play. He's played every game, started inside linebacker for us since. And, so it's nice to honor him. He's put a lot of time and sacrifice, and as anybody that served. So we let everybody that's, serving in the military and free last night and get to honor those guys. And, you think about how much work these guys put in during the week for, football and school and everything else. But, to be able to even think about comparing yourself to somebody that served our country and made the sacrifice to do that from family, even talking with Staff Sergeant Dobson, who does our recruiting, he's done a nice job. I think we got 5 or 6 kids in the school right now that are signed up to continue to do that. We had a nice media coverage on, our seniors last year that served. So to be able to do that and be a big part of that was a fun night. We let Ian obviously run out with American flag and get everything going. So really set the tone for the night. And I felt like our kids responded well. We were over 300 yards of offense, about 300 yards on the ground. We had 29 yards passing. But Shane Schumann had a huge night. He was 253, I think, for 44 carries, 3 touchdowns. So big night for Shane, but felt like those guys up front really paved the way for him. Guys like Devin Burkett and Stephen Pugh, Ben Lee, and then we actually moved Braden Mulbash down to guard this week. He had played center last week when Stephen was out, and came in and played guard this week, did a nice job. And then our tackle, Travis Blankenship, who had been out the first 3 weeks of the season with shoulder injuries, he's been back and he's been playing well. Ollie Morgan played well offensively and defensively. Ollie did a nice job shutting down their counter, which is a big part of their offense, and he really stayed home and did some good things. Ethan Binion, I think we had, 3 interceptions? 3 interceptions we recovered. 2 fumbles. So, anytime we can get those turnovers and win the turnover battle, we did not turn the ball over. So that was huge for us. Hayden Parker had an interception late in the game to really seal it for us. We got a few first downs and had a chance there towards the end that we just slowed it down and ran the clock out. And then when we looked at, Ethan Binion, he had a awesome interception, and he also scored. He was 4 rushes for 42 yards. So a lot of great things. It was a good team effort offensively, defensively, and special teams. Anytime we get a turnover on special teams, that's huge as well.
Well, you've got Caston coming up next weekend. Anything you know about the Comets?
They're deceiving. You look at their record and you think you can just walk in and win the game just by showing up, and that's the wrong attitude to have, and that's the attitude we will not have. With homecoming being this week, it's easy to get distracted with everything else going on, homecoming activities. But I told the kids last night, there's a reason they have homecoming. It's for the football team. Let's make sure we have fun, we enjoy the week. But if you enjoy the week too much and not show up on Friday night, it could be a bad thing. So we've got to make sure that we do everything correct. There's some neat activities they'll do this week. We'll have Fall Bonanza. I think we have a powder puff game and a lot of home activities, with volleyball, soccer. Girls soccer is home 3 times this week. They've had a great season for them as well.
Oh, man, have they?
So, we I think volleyball teams are rolling. They're 16-8. Got some big conference wins last week against Knox, North Judson the week before. So, they got the ball rolling. So, want to continue their success, and so big week for all athletics, not just the football team, but we got to prepare. Caston's young; they're continually getting better. Every film I've watched, they move the ball. They just don't have the breaks, the lucky breaks is what I say, and I think that just comes with experience. But sometimes when they play us, they get those lucky breaks. So we got to make sure we're prepared, ready to go.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing the result of that game. As last night was a tough game for you, but you come out on top, a full team effort, like you said. The Winamac Warriors have a young quarterback in Cash Roth. We've been lucky enough to see a couple of times. What's it like knowing, as a coach on the opposite side of the field, you're going to see him grow, and he's going to take notes from last night. I'm sure he's upset with those interceptions. I mean, the growth that he's going to make in the next couple of years, that's probably got to worry you a little bit in the future, knowing that you gave him something to study last night.
Yeah, Coach Burgess, those guys do a great job over there. I know, he's excited about this young group, and he should be. There are a lot of freshmen, sophomores, but Michael Lambert did a nice job last night for the Warriors as well, running the ball and playing defensively as well. So I got some guys. I mean, they're no slouch. We felt like it'd be a pretty evenly matched team against us, and we had to play our best ball, and I felt like we did that. So we're just excited for our guys moving forward. To notch it up a 3-3 in the record, and with a chance to go above 500 next week for homecoming. We're excited.
Well, I meant to ask you, when you were on the golf course, how'd you end up? What'd you fare? Did you win that round?
We to be 500 on the golf course would be awesome, but I don't know what we were. we had a great time. I'll just say that.
Well, it sounded like a lot of fun. I've only golfed one time in my life. It was with Tony Ross, and we went to a golf outing. And I said, Tony, I don't golf. And he said, come on, it'll be easy. Just swing the club. And I swung the club. Well, the club went about 40 yards. The ball went about 10. So they got a good laugh out of it. I said, I'm never golfing again. But who knows, maybe one day.
Yeah, that's how it all starts. But no, the golf outing went great. Appreciate everybody's support. We had a lot of whole sponsors, and it's a great fundraiser for both athletics and our scholarship fund. So can't thank everybody enough for who supported and came out and golfed, and even the whole sponsors of businesses that supported. So always a great time, and got great guys. I think it was the 31st year that we've done that, for great reason as well.
All right, Coach. Well, I appreciate your time today, and until next week, we'll see you then. Good luck.
All right. Thank you.
All right, that's head coach of the Culver Cavaliers, Mike Zehner, on the line. We're going to take a break and come back. We have more coming your way. Brett Lambert's in the house. I saw him. He didn't want to say hello to me, but he will here in a minute. He is here to talk about last night's big win. We're very excited for them. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
Looking back, we seeing what we want to see. The way we used to be.
Collins Insurance Agency in Knox has done it again. They have earned the distinction of preferred agency partner from the Western Reserve Insurance Company.
Can't touch this.
So what does that mean for you? Collins Insurance Agency provides themselves of taking care of its community. That means providing the best insurance that keeps you and your family safe in a time of need. And with this honor, Collins Insurance Agency looks forward to providing Stark and surrounding counties the best customer service you and your family deserve. Collins Insurance Agency in Knox, living the golden rule by treating you like family.
This presentation of our area's local high school sports is sponsored by Pulaski Memorial Hospital in Winamac. Pulaski Memorial Hospital is dedicated to providing excellent health care to improve the health and quality of life for the people and the community they serve. They will meet the community's needs and exceed their expectations by creating the best possible health care experience. For more information of the services they provide, call 946-2100.
Since 1936, Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning have always taken pride in doing the job right. Third-generation owner Bryan Hammond and his family have always set the standard when it comes to taking care of all your heating and cooling needs. Making your home a comfortable home is the absolute top priority. If you are uncomfortable in your home, give them a call at 574-936-4660. Follow them on Facebook. Let Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning help you take control of your comfort. You're listening to Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
2nd and 13. McColgan takes the snap. He's looking to throw. Intercepted by Quentin Frazier. Big pick for him. He's going to take it all the way to the house. Pick 6 for the Blue Jays. Touchdown, Quentin Frazier. The Blue Jays are making things happen. 13-3 here in the second quarter.
Well, that was last night, a pick 6 by Quentin Frazier. A big smile on head coach Brett Lambert's face as he's sitting in here in the studio. Brett, thanks for coming in. I appreciate your time. Boy, you keep winning like this. I don't want to see you when you lose. This is a pretty nice time I get to have with you for 6 straight weeks. I appreciate you coming in, and like I told Marc Hall, no hardball questions today. Chris is out of house, so softball questions for me today. I apologize. I'm not quite the football guru that Chris is. But all right, tell me about last night and what you saw from your North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays that you're happy about.
I thought we played. At times we were a little sloppy, especially in the first half, with some penalties and just maybe not quite being ready for some of that shiftiness of the CMA quarterback. But we settled down, especially in the second half. We settled down and really just came out and kind of hammered them a little bit. But again, overall for the game, the defense played very well again. We had some outstanding performances from some guys. I'll go through a few of those things right now. Like Josiah McDaniel. We had him for about 15 tackles. It was just he
was all over the place.
He was. He's a free safety, and sometimes you're thinking, you don't want your free safety to get that many tackles, but he was just doing it everywhere. Did a fantastic job. CJ Sanchez, 7 tackles, a forced fumble, a sack, and freshman. Yeah.
6'4"?
Doesn't look like a freshman, though. He looks like a senior out there. But that kid, if anybody wants to look at his birth certificate,
it's kind of scary, really. It's kind of scary.
Yeah. And you had the highlight there, Quentin Frazier. He had about 10 tackles, an interception for a touchdown. Again, he leads our defense. He's always in the right spot because he watches film and he listens to Coach Howard. He does a great job. Connor Benson had a sack. He had another interception last night. He had a fumble recovery. So, again, he had the trifecta there. Logan Radtke, 6 tackles, a sack, forced fumble recovery. And then, even like somebody like Jackson Boyd, his stats weren't huge, but, man, he plays his position at defensive end very, very well for us. And, again, a lot of guys did well. Cole Wilcox had an interception. Just some grit and 12 tackles to go with it. So defense did great. Then offensively, I kind of felt like we started off and same thing of defense. I think defense started off a little sluggish. CMA went down in their first drive and got a field goal. But I think we just, our angles were a little bit off because their quarterback was shifty, and he threw a good ball too, a nice hard ball. And I felt like our angles weren't quite there. But once we adjusted to the speed, I think we really played a great game after that. But then offensively, like I said, I felt like we just weren't quite on, right away with some of our blocking schemes. But then, second half we made a few adjustments. I maybe ran a couple plays that weren't being called in the first half, and then we got after them, and it was awesome.
Well, it was a full team effort from what I saw. Now, I will say I'm not someone I don't blame refs at all ever. I think that you just get the job done, and whatever's called, if it's a bad call, it's a bad call. But there were several plays last night that you had huge gains, huge running plays. There was a huge pass play, and it resulted in a flag. Now, I had a friend one time, he told me, huge football guy, he told me, you could call a holding play on every call. I don't know if that's true or not, but he said if you really wanted to look for a holding call, you could find one almost on every play. For those plays to come back like that, it was hard for me to swallow to watch that have to happen. Shy and Allen had a huge run they had to bring back. I think Aldrich Harper had a pass or a run that they had to bring back. Those types of moments, what are you telling your team? I notice you're on the sideline talking to Aldrich Harper. Are you just telling him to calm down, or how are you attacking those moments where they're facing adversity against not even the other team?
I guess the big thing is you got to put it behind you. You have to. It's the next play. You have to go on to it. And again, it's hard for me to say that sometimes and do it myself. But I think I'm getting better at that. But I wouldn't say that the calls were awful. They were close. I mean, they weren't like bad obvious penalties, but it's not. Also, I don't think there were anything you could really argue about. The only thing I would argue about the whole night was we had a 4th down there in the first half, and Quentin Frazier got held, and they should have called pass interference, but they didn't. But again, refs aren't perfect, and neither am I in the play calling. We aren't perfect either as coaches. So I don't think it was egregious or anything like that at all. And part of the thing with us getting penalties is we're pretty aggressive. So we don't just lay back. So sometimes we get penalties for being too aggressive, and that's something that not that you tell the kids to back off, but maybe just think about what you're doing here or what you're about to do, because a lot of the penalties we've gotten over the past couple of weeks are just trying to be too physical or make an extra block, and then you end up kind of slipping off the block and blocking the guy in the back, which is a penalty. So there's some things that we can definitely clean up there. But gosh, just the way the night went, it was a lot of fun. The offensive line got it done last night. They gave us some protection when we threw the ball, and then we ran the ball well behind them. Hunter Redlin, Tyler Barnhart, Cole Kozikar, Canyon Minix, David Brown, Jacob Gepke. I mean, those guys got it done up front. And then Aldrich had another good night, 63 yards rushing, 68 yards passing with 2 touchdowns. Brock Benson had 86 yards rushing. Cheyenne had 89 yards rushing. He ended up with 3 touchdowns. Gabe Ellis, you mentioned him, he had a touchdown reception, had 23 rushing. Cole Wilcox got some carries at the end, and Cole's a strong kid. Man. I mean, for a lot of teams that we see, I mean, he would be playing for them. He'd be a feature back, but we have Brock and Cheyenne right now. So you can only give so many carries, but he's a kid who's just gonna in the future is gonna be great. And then as this year continues, he's
if a moment came up,
absolutely. Josiah McDaniel had 2 catches for 39 yards, and they were 2 big catches. Nice throws by Aldrich, and he just went up and got the ball.
Took some hits too.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, it was just a great, like you said already, all around game. And something that, is really kind of developed for us as this year's gone on is our only guy who's truly playing 2 ways is Josiah McDaniel. Because the other guys are playing kind of or just either one way, or maybe they're like a 1.5 player, or they play half of offense.
He's out there every
he's the guy who's really playing, and he gets a break here and there on offense, but not much. But he's pretty much our 2-way player. And again, everybody else is not playing 2 ways.
So he has a good stamina then, is what
yeah, absolutely he does. And we have other guys who could go both ways, but we've had guys step up, and I think you saw it in the second half. We came out just on fire, and CMA was playing more guys on both sides of the ball, and I just really think we wore them down.
Chris said the same thing.
And it's just, I think it's because for 1A football, I think, not to pat ourselves in the back, but I think, we're putting good guys out there in all the positions. And again, they're one-way players. And that's awesome.
And we talked last night during the broadcast, we brought up who all Culver Academy has played thus far in the season. Just because they were 1-4 coming into last night, they were playing Mishawaka Marion, Indianapolis Tech. They played Brebeuf last week.
They played Hobart, who's a real good. Hanover Central's undefeated.
So this was a test for you guys to really put yourselves up against someone that you can categorize in that 4A school range that you were talking about. And for a 1A school, like you're saying, if you keep this style of ball up, we might be seeing you deep into the postseason, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Well, and if we're going to go deep into the playoffs, the team we're playing this week, Triton. That's somebody who's
big win against Pioneer last night.
Yeah, and they're in our sectional, and so is Pioneer. So we're going to get a preview of what sectional looks like this week.
And then I keep hearing about LaVille. I haven't seen LaVille yet, but they come a close game last night in Knox here for their homecoming. 20-21, and then you shut Knox out. So
that's a game you don't want to play. You don't want to play that we did this against this team and the other. But LaVille's later on. They're not even a thought in our head right now. It's solely on Triton. It really is.
Sure.
But just to go to touch that for a second, that goes back to, I think, Coach Radtke just he makes adjustments and probably from our game, I'm sure he wasn't happy with some things and they fixed them, and that's part of coaching, and that's part of going in. When you have your timeouts, you make adjustments. You have your halftime, and you get that 15 to 20 minutes with your kids, and you don't just sit in there and drink Gatorade and tell stories. I mean, you're in there trying to fix things and get it accomplished, and so that just goes back to coaching again. So what's Laville and Hostrauser going to do? Their head coach, well, they're going to be working off of that Knox film now.
Yep. So
that's going to be a great thing for them. But again, Triton. I mean, that's a team.
Tell me what you know of them.
5-1. So I mean, they got a good record. They lost to Laville. That Laville game was close in the first half, then it got away from Triton in the second half. But yeah, Triton has athletic quarterback. They got a stud at running back. Plus, they got other guys that are athletic who can get it done. So it's not just like a two-headed monster. It's a full team effort. Line up front's physical. I mean, they're going to get after it. They got some seniors up front. The defense has been, other than that Laville game in the second half.
So you're expecting a battle.
Yeah, this is a battle for sure. And we know it. And we also know that this could be, phase one, I guess you could say, or the first game, because there could be a second game in the sectionals. And again, teams like Culver and Pioneer are going to have something to say about that as well. But yeah, this is it's a big game. But again, the way we have approached it all year is, each week is just a new week, and right now the mentality is, we're 0-0, and we got to win the week. We got to go 1-0 this week, and I think we've done a good job of that so far. But yeah, Triton is not a pushover by any means, and if we don't show up, they will beat us.
So, as this is your fourth season, have you been 6-0 before?
No, we haven't been 6-0 before. I think maybe 4-0 last year. I think was the best.
So as a coach, when you enter into this territory, thinking about not losing a game yet, how do you prepare each week? I mean, obviously you want to win every game, but at the same time, if I was a coach, I'd be thinking in the back of my mind, maybe, a tough game that came down to the wire would be good for us in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. But it's just, it's not, you're not thinking about losing a game. You're just thinking about, hey, how can we beat Triton this week? So last week was, how can we beat CMA? And then before that, how can we beat Winamac, Knox? You have to focus on the task at hand.
It's not as a whole season. It's game by game.
Because, again, are there other, Laville and Pioneer and the playoffs are, coming up after Triton, but who cares? It's all about Triton right now. So live in the moment, get better. If we get to Friday and things don't go our way, and with Triton we get a victory, or we don't play well and get the victory, we're gonna get things fixed, and we're gonna be ready for the next week against the Bills. That's the mentality. And I'll tell you, I was worried to death about CMA. Because I knew they had some athletes. They got a good coach over there who's been there for 25 years. But I knew that their record wasn't good, but that didn't mean that they weren't good. So I was worried about our kids maybe looking ahead just because of the record. That didn't happen. It didn't. And again, with Triton, they're 5-1. So our guys know they're a good team. They know they're a sectional opponent. So there's not going to be any looking ahead to anything else.
Well, last night was a lot of fun. We had the broadcast here on WKVI, and we also broadcasted on IHSAATV.org. That was a lot of fun. Our audio came through loud and clear. You can still purchase the game. It's $8.50. 80% of the proceeds goes to North Judson-San Pierre, so it's as if you're purchasing a ticket and going to the game. It's no big deal. You can go back and watch that game, and you can hear the radio call at the same time. I thought that was a lot of fun. We got your interviews at halftime. It was a lot of fun. We've just been having a lot of fun doing your games. We appreciate all the access. And thanks for your time again today, Brett. We really do appreciate it, and good luck next week against Triton.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, that's head coach Brett Lambert of the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays. We're going to finish with one more play. It was Cole Wilcox last night.
So 2nd and goal here. Ball on the foot-yard line. Harper takes the snap under center, flicks it out to Cole Wilcox, who's going to waltz right in. Touchdown, Blue Jays! Cole Wilcox on the carry as they executed that play beautifully.
Coke knows there's nothing better than the beat of the summer. The beat begins in a simple and mellow place. From low-key to Hyped Up. So we're helping you and your friends drink it all in with 100 days of the artist's experiences, tracks, and concerts with the best names in music, all at Coke Studio. Drink, scan, and enjoy your Coke so you never miss out on all the amazing offers we're dropping this summer.
The Stark County Co-op has been a member-owned farm services co-op in Stark County since 1928. That's over 90 years, and they're still providing the same quality agronomy services to the farming community of Stark and surrounding counties. The Stark County Co-op is an LP and fuel provider. The Stark County Co-op purchases grain at both locations, Hamlet and Brems. You can reach them by phone at 1-800-782-3392.
Life is busy. At First Farmers Bank and Trust, we know that your time is valuable. That's why we offer mobile banking, online account opening, and mobile check deposit, so you can take care of your banking and get back to the people who matter most to you, while we take care of the people who matter most to us, our customers. Visit us online at ffbt.com to learn more. First Farmers Bank and Trust, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Here's more with area high school coaches as we return to the Saturday Sports Line from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios on K99.3.
Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. Mitch Columbi riding solo this morning. Chris McGowan, if he's listening and tuning in, I hope you're having a good morning at the Scarecrow Fest. I believe that's where he said he was this morning. As I have head coach of the Knox Redskins, Russ Radtke, in the house to talk about last night's game against LaVille. I keep hearing about LaVille all season. Last night you did a heck of a job. It was 6-7 for most of the game, as we just spoke. A tough ending there. Tell me a little bit how that ending played out there, 20-21. I know you guys scored to get to 20 points. Did you go for two there, or was it a kick for an extra point? Just curious.
There was about 24 seconds to go in the game, and we went for the win.
Went for the win.
Last year, I think there was just about the exact same scenario, same end of the field. Of course, it was at LaVille, and we got beat 7-6. This year, we came in, I felt, prepared, worked hard, did a lot of good things. But we went for a 2-point conversion to win again, and we got stopped again. And so 2 games in the last 2 years, both down with us an opportunity to win. It could be a lot more advantageous to have had success, but you think, again, like you just brought up, you got there. We were down 21-7 after we had been ahead the whole, through the mid-third quarter, with a chance to score in a red zone down by the end zone, and we didn't get it in. And then they drove down. Then they scored another touchdown and off a fumble recovery. And we still had resilience and came back and scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter and had the ball with a 2-point conversion to win. And then again, LaVille's a good team. They had 7 seniors on defense, and we only had 4 on offense. So sometimes it comes down to that, that type of need and time to get it done, and we didn't knock it in. We had our chances. The blocks were there. The pile just didn't move at that time.
Well, and hindsight is not always 20/20. Who knows if the kick goes through? We were speculating on the air last night in the postgame. I said I would have gone for it. Go for the win. It's homecoming at Knox. It's a bold move. You make sure that they know that you mean business. I totally respect that decision, and it was a tough loss. But you guys showed a lot of effort in that second half to score 14 points. That's a quick turnaround.
Especially in the fourth quarter when you had to get them both being down.
That close.
And with the fact that, you had a turnover that got the third touchdown. And so we still, at that point, came back and drove. And I think one of the drives, we might have started at our 5-yard line. It might have been the last one. I'm not sure that we drove. You can win the stats like we did. We only gave up 1 for 6 passing for 6 yards. Great job in the secondary. Did a great job all around. Defense fought hard all the time. Offense worked their best they could. But, sometimes, and I got a quote from Vince Lombardi, that is very important that we're trying to get installed here is that, your habits form your deeds and your deeds form your character. And bad habits are a lot easier to come by than good character. And how we change those habits is something that's got to be continually worked on. So that's why you go for those 2-point conversions when it's, not the tournament run or whatever, We've won for 2-point conversions over all my years. We've lost a semi-state one time. Just think of that. You scored a 2-point conversion, you're in the state championship with no time on the clock. No time on the clock. And we went for the 2-point conversion, and it looked like he was in, but the guy tripped up, fell, didn't get it in the end zone. That team went on to the state championship. We did it. Now, what good does that do? Well, about 2 years later, we won a state championship. So I'm just saying that to get these habits across, and when you lead with there's nobody with more intelligence about football and people, and he's talking about adults.
Yeah. Yep.
He's talking about pros that get paid. Well, maybe at that time they didn't get paid millions of dollars. But
they probably had second jobs.
Yeah. But, those habits are something that we got to work with. And if we can just keep working with the D's and keep coming across and showing how you can form character, it'll be there. And sometimes, you got to, it's just like that. You got a little kitten, he doesn't know what that taste of blood is when he first tastes that mouse. He'll play with it the first couple times.
Yeah.
That mouse is just terrified. That little kitten has no idea in the world. He's just trying to find a way to escape. And if he get in that hole, he's gone.
Yep.
But by gosh, the first time he clamps down on that taste of blood, he becomes a killer from then on.
Yep.
And we're not trying to get killers. We just want these kids to react how they're going to have to react in life. This is important for them to understand that there's some times you're going to have to make the right decision.
Stand up and do something.
Or not create a situation that now puts you in a, like today, rage and end up hurting someone or being prosecuted or whatever. This is how you get their minds the right direction. So it hurts. It's not something that you wanted, but we did it against a great team. I mean, you think about Rochester, 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
LaVille, 2-point conversion. We could very easily be 5-1.
Well,
North Judson kicked us over the field. I thought we've gotten tougher because of that. Because they played physical, now we're playing physical.
Yeah.
So I would say that,
a little bit.
That team had been scoring 45, 60 points a game.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's
and you're in the third quarter, 7-6 on them.
And that's what I keep
and
hearing.
So these are we're good. It takes a little bit more than 24 hours for me to come up with all the positives,
Well, when we talked 2 weeks ago, you said the focus was going to be on defense. Well, the last 2 weeks, you beat John Glenn 42-21, and then last night you keep LaVille to 21 points. So how happy are you with the defense and how they've turned things around in the last 14 days?
Well, attitudes and things like we said, you got brought up, I'm coaching a lot different now than I did back a long time ago, but here's a quote that came out on Thursday, September 15th on a calendar. It said, sometimes you have to flip out and go bat, and I can't say the word, crazy, to make a point. And we didn't go that way. We just let the boys feel it, know what it's going to be, and see what's going to happen. But I might have gone a little bit crazy, a different way in my younger years. But I would say that right now, the staff's going to be there. The kids are there, and they just gotta grow up and take your bad taste in your mouth and come about and realize that some of the kids that are just coming on that are doing fantastic for us on our offensive line, I got to really give it to people that really feel that their importance is there. And when Landon Howard leads as an offensive lineman and can play somewhat both sides of the ball. Then Caden Reisner now on defense is getting better and better as a down lineman and a linebacker. And then you have throw in there Bryce Yakas, however you pronounce that, here in Knox. But how he comes on and does a great job. You throw all those things together with a young defensive secondary that pushes everything. And I thought, the quarterback last night, had some drop balls early in the game that he thought he could have got completed. But by gosh, when he drove us on that 95-yard drive, he was putting some whistles right in between people. And,
he's an athletic player.
And he's able to get the ball to where it has to be caught.
You're talking about Cohen Watson.
Cohen Watson, you got right. And he, his ability to do those things, and then even Aiden Saibo that was able to come in and make a tremendous catch on a ball, hurt his shoulder somewhat and wasn't able to play the rest, but other people come in. It's exciting. It's good football. Somebody's got to win, someone's got to lose. But we're surely not going to take a back seat to anything because we're the team that had to come up with that L.
Well, you're looking forward to Pioneer. They're coming off a loss last night. What do you know about Pioneer, if anything at all?
Well, they've been a thorn in everybody's situation here in this conference for years.
Has it really?
And, they've went on to win state championships, been in the whole run and
I'd
so
heard
forth.
of Pioneer.
And it might be a question as to when the last time Knox has beaten Pioneer.
Really?
I would say it's been a while.
Well, I'll have to look that up this week and find out for you.
And I would say that it's going to take our kids to take on that right attitude. We got a great chance here to finish up this conference a tournament that we're going through now. We're going to play Pioneer, and then we got to play Triton. It's on a good run right now. And then we end up with Caston, and then we're looking forward to that playoff picks, find out where we're going to be in the tournament run. So I would say that Pioneer is going to present situations that are something that we have to keep working on. They do a great job under defense. Again, that's that same attitude. These are the plays. This is the offense we've run before, and we've been good with it, so they're not out trying to do different things.
Sure.
So we know what Pioneer is going to do and their process of how to get there. We forced LaVille into some new things that they did last night. They scored on the very first play of the game on their side of the ball. Mm-hmm. Now, how do we adjust to that? 7-6 all the way into the late third quarter.
Yeah.
So those are the things. The kids listen to us. No one's obstinate or ornery or refusing to do what we're telling them. They just have to get that ability to come along, and we'll get it out of them. We'll get working on it. And we had homecoming. A lot of outside things are going on and so forth. Thank goodness we only have one homecoming a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so you really want to use it to your advantage. And the crowd was there, and we're really appreciative of them and how much they enjoyed it. And the whole thing comes down to it. But we lost to a very good team that will go far into the tournament run, and they're ranked quite high. And we showed them how Knox football can be for the future and how we can be. And I'm talking about the future next week already, okay? I'm not talking about the future 2 or 3 years from now.
Well, that's exciting news coming from Russ Radtke, the head coach of the Knox Redskins, who plays Pioneer this coming week. Won't be here on the Saturday Sports Line next Saturday. Where are you heading, Coach?
An adventure my wife doesn't even know about yet.
Oh, well, I didn't want to pry. I'm just
hopefully she's not listening to the radio process. Okay,
surely not after all these years.
But there's some things going on that I have to do and so forth, the family and that. And I'll be on the radio.
Yeah, I'll call you. I'll call you. I got
we'll
your
get
card
everything
here.
set up in the morning, and we'll definitely talk to you and let them know what's going on.
I've never called you Russell. It says Russell Radtke. Should I call you Russ or Russell?
Well, I've been called a lot of things that aren't even those things, My mom called me Rusty, and, other people call me some other words too. But yeah, I really feel that the need and necessity of staff and coaches and community and everybody stay together, and I'll take full responsibility. So today I'm Russell. That what happened last night and how we didn't come about has nothing to fall on except Coach Radtke's shoulders, nobody else's.
You sure do love what you do, don't you?
Well, it's important to understand that we do it and we spend a lot of time, and we still have fun in that aspect. When it's going to be monotonous and dreary and not wanting to do it, like I said, we've done it at other schools. Sometimes we only won one game in that year. Within a couple of years, we're beating Carmels and playing other people. So everybody stick together, realize how important it is. And a lot of coaches are doing that, not just our program. Everybody's got their ideas and whatever. And if you really wanted to shadow somebody to find out what life is other than a bank teller or whatever politicians do today. I'm sorry, okay? Follow the life of a coach. Just try to do it 1 week where you shadow every minute of that coach. Wherever your school is, you would be quite amazed as parents. Whenever a parent really has something to whine about or complain, be in our shoes and follow us for a week and see if it really is what you think. And you might have a little bit more respect for how hard they work.
Well, I appreciate your time. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. That's head coach of the Knox Redskins, Russ Radtke, in-house, as he talked about last night's tough loss against LaVille, but they look forward to Pioneer. Thanks a lot, Coach. We appreciate your time as we move forward into the second hour here on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. I'm Mitch Columby, our Athlete of the Week. Katie Bryan from Oregon Davis High School. She's a volleyball player. Stick around. You'll hear her interview I got with her last week.
From the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios, quality care closer to home. You're listening to WKVI FM 99.3. Knox, North Judson, Winamac, playing the best of Vinyl Gold, a service of Kankakee Valley Broadcasting.
Fox News, I'm Carmen Roberts. Tropical Storm Ian is forecast to become a hurricane by Monday as it tracks through the Caribbean towards Florida.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is declaring a state of emergency for 24 Florida counties, expecting them to be impacted by what could very well be a major hurricane likely to strike the state's southwestern coast along the Gulf of Mexico.
Fox's Evan Brown. Ian's expected to reach Florida as a major hurricane by Tuesday or Wednesday. The Dow plunged nearly 500 points, closing at a low for the year amid fresh signs of slowing global growth.
It's the higher interest rates that we're seeing in the U.S., but also in places like Britain and Sweden, Switzerland, and Norway.
Connell McShane with Fox Business, and business surveys show inflation and the fallout from Russia's attack on Ukraine are hurting the global economy. America's listening to Fox News.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
From the K99.3 Weather Center, here's your forecast. It'll be partly cloudy today. 72 will be your high. Tonight, cloudy, scattered showers, 57. Only a 30% chance of rain. Now for Sunday, more rain in the forecast, but only a 50% chance, so it could go either way. Partly cloudy, scattered showers, maybe a thunderstorm, 67's the high. Sunday night, cloudy, more rain in the forecast, low of 52, still 50% chance. And your outlook for Monday, cloudy, isolated showers, and 61. That's your weather forecast from the station that brings you Vinyl Gold, the best music of the 60s and 70s, WKVI.
It's time now for Hour 2 of the Saturday Sports Line with your host, Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI Sports Director, Mitch Columby, and sports analyst, Chris McGowan.
Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Line as we move forward into our Athlete of the Week segment. I had a chance to sit down and talk with Katie Bryan as she came to the studio to have a one-on-one interview. She tells us why this Lady Cats Oregon Davis volleyball team is quite the cohesive unit. So when did you start playing volleyball?
I started playing volleyball my 5th grade year.
They tell me you're a good leader for this team. What is it that you believe you provide out on the court for them?
I believe I provide high energy and vibes for the team. We always get down, so I just bring positive energy for everybody.
Are you an energetic person naturally?
Yeah.
Is there anyone particular on the team you can always count on when the team needs it the most?
Reagan Danford, she's always out there just keeping high energy too. Like, we all make mistakes, but she's always there just trying to keep everybody high energy also.
You say your name's Reagan?
Yeah.
And what is it that Reagan provides on the court for the team that you really admire most?
Just positive energy, like I said. She's just always there. Even if she makes mistakes, she shakes it off. She knows she has to come out, be better, but she always tries and never gives up on herself.
Do you believe being vocal helps a team when they need uplifted?
Yeah, especially when my vocal are like positive and stuff. It helps everybody.
What is it that you say out on the court that kind of gets the team to focus and hone in on what they need to do?
Just shake it off, move on, like we're only down by a little bit. Just anything. It helps everybody.
Where do you think you got that passion and energy from?
I have like family that play sports, and I've always just loved volleyball, and like I've played with many teams on travel teams and stuff, so just like learning and picking up different things with different teams always helped.
Do you have any goals for this team you would like to achieve this season?
Just coming together as a family more. It would help a lot with our team. Just on the court also, it'd achieve a lot if we were more together as a family.
So when's your next game?
Our next game is next Thursday. It'll be our senior night at home.
Are you looking forward to that?
I am. It's kind of sad thinking like the 3 seniors that are on the team. We've been together since 5th grade. We've played together, and like realizing this is our last like time on the court together and everything is just sad, but I'm excited.
When do you start getting ready for the season? Is it during the middle of summer?
Well, these past couple of years we've gotten new coaches, so it's been a later start, but yeah, it's always like the end of July. So it takes time out of summer, but we all put in our work to get ready for the season.
So tournament time is coming close. Tell me a little bit about what the team is focusing forward. I know there's still a little time left in the season, but with tournaments right around the corner and you being a senior, I'm sure you guys really want to focus in. Tell me about your goal there.
Yeah, I think with bonding and getting ready, we know we aren't the best out there, but we put in our work, we put in our time. Our coach is really on us with practice, and we're always focusing on practice and trying to get what we need. We look at the teams we're playing and where they're good at and where they do their stuff, so we just kind of focus on who we're playing.
Last 2 questions. What does it mean to you to be a Lady Cat at Oregon Davis?
It means a lot because we are a small school, and like our team isn't that big. When we go to other schools, they're like huge and tall, and we have no height on our team. Like our tallest person is 5'8", so just being a Lady Cat just as a school means a lot just because we're so small.
Is there anyone you would like to say hello to this morning?
I'd like to say hello to my mom and just all my fans because they've always pushed me to be who I am today. I'm so thankful for that.
And what's your mom's name?
Abby Taylor.
Well, we appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We congratulate Katie Bryan on her excellent achievement of being named our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. More to come on the Saturday Sports Line. Don't go anywhere. Head coach Josh Burgess of the Winamac Warriors is in-house to talk about last night's game. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
The Stark County Co-op has been a member-owned farm services co-op in Stark County since 1928. That's over 90 years, and they're still providing the same quality agronomy services to the farming community of Stark and surrounding counties. The Stark County Co-op is an LP and fuel provider. The Stark County Co-op purchases grain at both locations, Hamlet and Browns. You can reach them by phone at 1-800-782-3392, the Stark County Co-op.
Collins Insurance Agency in Knox has done it again. They have earned the distinction of preferred agency partner from the Western Reserve Insurance Company.
Can't touch this.
So what does that mean for you? Collins Insurance Agency provides themselves of taking care of its community. That means providing the best insurance that keeps you and your family safe in a time of need. And with this honor, Collins Insurance Agency looks forward to providing Stark and surrounding counties the best customer service you and your family deserve. Collins Insurance Agency in Knox, living the golden rule by treating you like family.
Join us each Saturday morning on WKVI for the Saturday Sports Line and worldwide on WKVI.com.
The first half is coming to a close, 13-3. The Eagles are down. McColgan takes the snap. He fires over the left side. It was tipped by the player it was supposed to go to, and it falls into the hands of another Eagle who takes it down and gets a touchdown for the Culver Military Academy Eagles. They're back in the game. Wow. How do you describe that play? He threw it to his intended target. It was tipped up in the air, and then another Eagle just happened to be there to catch the ball out of thin air and run it to the touchdown. Huge touchdown for the Eagles to end the first half.
That was last night, and we've got Josh Burgess, head coach of the Winamac Warriors. Real quick, Josh, this play, I've never seen a play like this. He had thrown the ball to his intended receiver. Just like I said, it skipped off his hand, went up in the air about 10, 15 feet. Another eagle just happened to be there, and it just landed in his hands like it was meant to be, and he just waltzes right into the end zone. It was a miraculous play nonetheless, but getting some cuts through the broadcast here this morning. Is this the Saturday Sports Line? We're talking with head coach Josh Burgess of the Winamac Warriors. A close battle between the Culver Cavaliers last night, a 20-26 loss. But let's talk about last night and what you saw from your Warriors.
Yeah, we're making improvement. You know, we've talked about improvement all year, and we're seeing it. Last night we did some things well, but we turned the ball over 5 times, and you can't beat a team like Culver who was well prepared. Coach Zehner and his staff, they do an excellent job with their kids and having them ready to go. And you just can't give teams opportunities through turnovers, and that's something we've got to get cleaned up, especially early. We take the opening kick, we fumble it, they drive down and score. We come back on offense, get a couple plays going, fumble a quarterback center exchange. They get the ball back and score again. So we're in a 12-point hole early on in the first quarter. But I thought after that our kids settled down a little bit. Especially when we got to halftime, made some halftime adjustments that I was pretty happy with, and got back in the game. But give Culver a lot of credit. They capitalized on our mistakes and ended up getting the job done. So hats off to them.
Well, it was actually your first away game in looks like 3 weeks. So it looks like your last away game was at Pioneer August 26th. So almost a month later, you had a 3-game home stretch, which I'm sure you were happy about. But tell me a little bit about what you guys tried to do after that 12 points in the first quarter. What did you tell your team? What did you tell them on the sidelines to kind of keep them in it?
Just talk about playing the next play. Hey, things happen. Once the play's done, it's done and over with, and you've got to move on to the next play. And that's something that we're continuing to work on. In a football game, you play 48 minutes, things aren't going to go your way every single play. So, you've got to put that behind you, and you've got to play the next play. So I thought especially the second half, again, we came out and got some things done. Performance-wise, individual, I've been really happy with Michael Lambert. Michael's a senior for us. Carried the ball 18 times, had I think 98 yards and a couple touchdowns. And just with what we've had to do the past couple weeks and a couple injuries, we've moved him around a little bit. Mike's normally a wing. He's played some tailback. We've got in the eye a little bit. Played a little bit of fullback too last night for us. So and defensively, he's made the move up to outside linebacker, which has been a good move for us. So just real happy with what Mike's done for us last couple weeks.
At the games we've been at, Michael Lambert has been a name we call out quite frequently during the broadcast. It seems like he's everywhere.
Yeah, we're getting good play out of him, so happy with him. I thought, too, offensive line-wise, Eli Matthews, especially second half, got some things done, and we saw some good things out of Eli, a little more aggressive, getting to his blocks and doing some things there. And then defensively, too, I talk about a lot of our young linebackers with Talon Garner and Tucker Fox, but they continue to play well and do the job. So, and we're seeing some good things out of everybody. Just, we talk about it all the time about consistency and, consistency on what you do Monday through Thursday and then, consistency throughout 48 minutes. So we're getting there. We've got some work to do still, and hopefully the last 3 games of the season we can clean some of that stuff up before we get into tournament time.
What were you happy about on the offensive side of the ball? We talked a little bit earlier. Cash Roth, a tough game, had some interceptions, but he's a young quarterback. I told Mike Zehner in Culver, I said, knowing that he's a young quarterback, you gave him some things to study last night, and I'm sure he took that to heart, as that's an upsetting loss for anyone, really. But I'm sure Cash, knowing him, he's going to take that seriously and be prepared going forward into the future.
Yeah, I know he was disappointed on some of the throws he made last night, but he's going to learn from those mistakes, and that's key, and that's everybody. You've got to be able to learn from the mistakes in a game and take that and improve. And we've got coachable kids, we've got high effort kids. So we're going to continue to work with them and continue to get them better here, especially as we approach the tournament.
Something that I've always learned in my life, even outside of sports, is sometimes you have to go through things you don't necessarily want to go through to get to where you want to get. And boy, I love watching Cash throw the ball. He's getting confident in there like we talked last week. But the fact that you guys came all the way back and only lost by 6 points when you were down 12 to start out the game like that shows a lot of resilience, a lot of fight. How was the crowd on hand last night? Were they supporting you pretty good?
Oh yeah. I appreciate support from our community and everything that we do. So I had a good crowd. And like you mentioned, we talked about things being tough. we talk about adversity in life, and it's not just adversity in a football game. You're going to face some tough situations, and you're going to have to respond, and you're going to have to kind of pull yourself up and do those things. So we talk about that a lot within our program, and we try to impress on the kids that, hey, these things you're doing on the football field, hopefully you're going to carry over when you're done playing football, and that's kind of one of the main things that we try to get across every week.
Well, you're in your first year as a head coach, but you've been coaching for quite a long time. Tell our listeners, I've never asked you this question. I've asked coaches throughout the Saturday Sports Line this season so far, but tell me what it is about football that you love and why you want to coach the game.
Oh, just being around the kids. Love being around the kids, but just the relationships you form with the guys you play with. It's a total team sport, and not that other sports aren't, but you got to depend on 10 other guys on a football play and trust them to do their job consistently, and they've got to put their trust in you. Just the camaraderie in the locker room. As a coaching staff, we've got all Winamac guys, and we've all known each other for a long time, and we have a good time. So just those things kind of behind the scenes are the things that I really love. Obviously getting to Friday night, you prepare all week and you play the game and you want to win and get those things taken care of. But just some of the behind the scene things and some of the things that go on a weekly basis that a lot of people maybe don't see are the things that kind of keep us coming back week to week.
Well, you were nice enough to introduce me to your assistant coaches last week during practice. How are the guys and the staff other than the loss last night? How is everybody outside of football?
Oh, man, we've got top-notch guys. Like I said, we've got good football guys, but we've got even better people on our staff that treat the kids the right way. And, Marc forever. Obviously, Brandon's my brother, and Parker, Levi, and Dalton all played for me at different times. So, just really appreciate those guys and the time and effort they put in. Right now, we got our JV team playing. I'm going to shoot out of here and get back down and watch those guys here. But, we got Parker and Dalton with our JV kids, and they just do a really good job with our younger kids.
Who are they
too.
playing?
They're playing Tri-County this morning. So Tri-County showed up.
Is that going on right now?
Going on right now. Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. We'll get you out of here.
No, you're fine. I got it's well in hand down there. I'm going to check with them on my way back, but I'll be back to see most of the game. So
sure.
Just very thankful that I've got the coaching staff that I do. Just makes my job as a head coach a whole lot easier.
It seems like you guys gel really well. When I was at that practice, it just seems like everybody on the staff is on the same page. They agree with what anyone on the staff has to say. It seems like you guys just really have the same mentality when it comes to preparing.
Yeah, and I trust those guys with anything. They know what they're doing. They coach their positions well. Marc does a great job with our offense and offensive kids. Brandon with special teams, but the other guys too. They pay attention. They work hard at it, and they're there for the right reasons. They're there for the kids. So couldn't be more fortunate to have the guys on staff that I do.
Mark Hendricks has been there for quite a while. Do you know how long he's been there? He told me. I forget.
This is Marc's 35th year of coaching,
and he said he's never been a head coach.
Never been a head coach. He's been a head baseball coach. He's actually getting back to the head baseball coaching job here at Winamac. But just always been assistant offensive coordinator and in multiple places. And now I've talked about it before, just to date Marc. Marc was my position coach in high school.
Oh, really?
It
makes sense. Yeah.
Just think the world of Marc and everything he does for the kids, and just very lucky to have him.
Well,
it
was fun. It was fun to watch him in practice. It reminded me of one of my coaches, and it's just the type of guy you want to show up for. And just coming to practice, it reminded me a lot of my practices. It's just the type of staff you want to show up for. And it looked like your kids really care. Even when they ran at the end of practice, they all ran really fast. And they really want to do it for you. You can tell they're really giving their all.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we've got great kids that give good effort every single day, and and we're getting better. We're getting better with our consistency, just our football prep, and we're coming along, and we need to put it all together, and we're working toward that. So, like I said, hopefully the next 3 weeks we can get those things ironed out, go into the tournament, see what our tournament draw is, and we'll go from there.
Well, we look forward to West Central next week. Tell me a little bit about what you know about West Central.
Watched a little bit of film. I know they're 5-1. Coach Hall does a great job over there. They've taken some lumps the past couple of years. He's played a lot of young kids. Well, those young kids have played now for 3 and 4 years, and they're very, very, very experienced. Offensively, they run their offense well, and defensively, they look like they're pretty aggressive. So I'll dive more into the film a little bit later. But like I said, Coach Hall and his staff have done an excellent job over there, and we'll have to be really prepared and ready to go. It's county rivalry. Add that to it. It'll be our senior night, so it's a special night for our seniors. Not a lot of seniors that we have, but we want to make sure that we honor those seniors in the right way.
It's a cross-county match. matchup. That is right.
Yep, and take care of our seniors. And just put on a good performance for them. So we'll get prepared this week and we'll be ready to go.
And we are at that game next week. That's right.
Yep.
I was getting worried. I was like, boy, why aren't we at that game? We are at that game next week for the cross-county matchup in Pulaski County between the West Central Trojans and the Winamac Warriors. Boy, I'm glad I got that one on there. So we're excited for that game. We'll be on hand. Pre-game is set to start at 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Pulaski County time. So that'll be an exciting game, and we talked to Marc Hall this morning. He says he's aware of the Winamac Warriors, and he's watched film as well. So you guys are watching each other, and we'll see what happens on Friday. And we always love coming down to Winamac. Your athletic director, Bryan Leverins, is such a great guy. We had a chance to talk to him at halftime during our game with Winamac and North Judson a couple of weeks ago. So it's just been a lot of fun getting to know everybody in the area, and Winamac's been one of those teams that I enjoyed coming to the football games. And, we didn't talk about this last week, but Chris McGowan down on the field, he was standing on the 42-yard line, and he said, yeah, this is right where I picked someone off in 1992 for a pick six, blah, 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 blah. And he said, the field is a heck of a lot better today than it was back then. He said back then it was known, I guess, to get really bad during halfway through the game. And we talked about the field crew that you guys have there at Winamac. And, boy, you can tell the field does look really good over there at Winamac. And your field crew does an excellent job, as does all our other schools. We don't want to leave them out. But it was just something we talked about during the broadcast. And it just shows what all goes into preparing for a football game at any school, really. And you guys really know how to put on an event.
We appreciate that. Our staff's top-notch at Winamac, and just appreciate everything they do for us just to make our job on Friday night a little bit easier. So excited about the game on Friday. It should be a good atmosphere. As always, appreciate your coverage. Appreciate you guys coming down and checking us out. And we'll get ready this week, and we'll be ready to go Friday night.
All right, head coach of the Winamac Warriors, Josh Burgess. We're going to get him out of here so we can get to the JV game and see how they're doing. We appreciate your time, Coach. You have a good afternoon, and we'll see you next weekend.
Yeah, thanks,
next Friday.
Yeah, appreciate all your coverage and all you guys do. Really appreciate it.
Hey, we appreciate you. You give us the access so we sound professional. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. We'll be back after these messages. Don't go anywhere.
This presentation of our area's local high school sports is sponsored by Pulaski Memorial Hospital in Winamac. Pulaski Memorial Hospital is dedicated to providing excellent health care to improve the health and quality of life for the people and the community they serve. They will meet the community's needs and exceed their expectations by creating the best possible health care experience. For more information of the services they provide, call 946-2100.
Welcome to Marion University's newest location, Ancilla College of Marion University. Marion's newest campus location in Plymouth is your home for an on-campus college experience. From living in the dorms to being a collegiate student-athlete, Marion University is ranked third most innovative Midwest university by U.S. News and World Report. For more information about our 2- or 4-year degrees, go to www.marion.edu/Ancilla. That's www.marion.edu/Ancilla.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
Aldrich Harper, under center, sets his man in motion. Takes the snap. He keeps it himself after he fake hands off up the middle. He gets it about the 30, the 25, 20, the 15, 10. He's knocked out of bounds by number 17 of Culver. That was Evan Gerber. He is saving touchdown tackle as Aldrich Harper was full head of steam heading to the house.
Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Line here at the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios. Mitch Columbi in house, flying solo. Chris McGowan's not here today. Had to take a day off. I hope he's enjoying himself at the Scarecrow Fest. I believe that's where he said he was. But in house today is Buzz Schoff, head coach of the South Central Satellites of Union Mills. Had a win last week over Osceola Grace. A tough game last night at Lake Station, 20-30, but it sounds like the kids hung in there. That was probably their best effort other than their September 16th week. Within 10 against Lake Station. You must be happy about that, even though it was a loss, but still you're happy with the progress.
Absolutely. Going into it, Lake Station has kind of got a reputation over the past couple of years just because they've struggled so much, just as far as they haven't had a whole lot of players. Like last year, they finished the game last year. We played in them. They finished the game with 10 guys. They had 12 dressed, and 2 ended up getting hurt in the game, so they finished the game with 10 guys.
And that's allowed.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you have enough, you only get 4 in the backfield still. I mean, that's the only rule that
because you're allowed 11.
You're allowed. Yeah, you
so
play
you
11.
Can pull a Hoosiers,
but you can play with 10. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing against that, I guess. So going into Lake Station, we have to understand that this is not the Lake Station that we played last year, we played 2 years ago, or even the Lake Station we played 3 years ago. They have been struggling for quite some time, and now they are a decent football team. They have a quarterback that is real shifty, can make plays when you think you got him bottled up, and he just makes something happen. They got a tailback who was without a doubt the fastest kid on the football field last night, and it's not the Lake Station that we think of when we think of Lake Station. So going into it, we knew that we had to play a really good game, and we knew that it was going to be another close football game, even if we do everything right. We knew that they were probably more athletic than we were. They were probably they're a much improved football team. The issue is when you're playing a team that's has better athletes than you are, and you have an opportunity to make a play, and somehow they end up out athleting you. To start the game off, we have them 3rd and 20, I think, 3rd and 25. They started off with 12 guys on the field, and then so that was a penalty. Then they had a holding call the next play. I think it's so we got them pinned back, and their quarterback throws the ball down the field. Our kid tips the ball, bats it down, and somehow their kid, who's on the ground, sticks his hand out and catches the ball. Well, I can't.
Just one hand?
I can't do anything about that. That's just that kid being a good football player.
Or getting lucky.
Yeah, you're in the right spot at the right time. So, and last night, we went down. We were down 14, and we were down 14-0, and I'm thinking, okay, we got to turn something around. It was a strange, even though as coaches we're talking to each other, like, this is a strange atmosphere. There wasn't a whole lot of crowd coming, yelling and hooting and hollering. Both teams were just kind of looking at each other. It wasn't a Friday night atmosphere. So it was kind of strange, and we're down 14-0. I'm thinking, what is going on? Like, we are better than this.
Yeah.
And we go down and we score. We make it 14-8, and then
you went for 2.
Yeah. Yeah, because, we found a kicker this week. So we found the diamond in the rough this week.
Okay.
The kids were out goofing around before practice, and they said, you need to try Carter as the kicker.
Carter who?
Carter Holmquist is his name, and he's a kid. He's a kid who he's a very likable kid. If you need a laugh, talk to Carter, because Carter will make you laugh. And they said, you need to try Carter at kicking. I'm like, I don't think Carter can take it serious enough to be the kicker. And so we try him out in practice that day, and I'm like, Carter, I've never been more mad at you in my life. Why didn't you tell me you could kick a football
this whole time?
Like you
could have
saw
said something.
You saw that we don't have a kicker for 5 weeks, and now Now I know that you can kick. So, but he laughs that off, and so, but going into it, we go for 2 because we're more confident in our offense than our kicking game after one practice of kicking, right? So we go for 2, we get it. It's 14-8. We go in at halftime, down 22-20. I believe.
So going into the half.
Yeah, something like
22-20 at the half. So you're right there.
Yeah. 2014. I don't know. We were down. But it was a 1 score.
It was only a 1 score.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, we make a few adjustments at a halftime. Nothing major, because what we're doing is working. We just got to do it more consistently. Our players would have a great play, And it's like, okay, that's good. Now let's try this that kind of complements that play.
Sure.
And it's a disaster. It's like, what just happened? You're blocking the same guy. It's kind of the same blocking scheme. Why is it different? So we just got to get consistency, and we'll be just fine. Last night they kind of turned it into a Pop Warner football game. They had fast guy to the right, fast guy to the left, and they just were faster than us.
Describe that to me. I never played football, so what's a Pop Warner? What do you mean by that?
So if maybe that's not fair to Pop Warner teams, but so Pop Warner, you usually put your best athlete at quarterback or at tailback, and you hand them the ball. You don't really run in between the two tackles. So there's no real inside run game. You just kind of run towards the sideline, and you hope your kid outruns everybody
and gets around
and gets around them. Yep.
Okay.
And so that's what we're watching, and we try to make adjustments on the fly of, okay, everything's going outside. They're not running anything inside, so we've got to control the outside. And they were just so fast, so much faster than us that we just couldn't get there. The times that we would get there and we'd string out the play and we'd come up and make a good play, it's still a 2-yard gain. And it's like, we can't play that any better.
Yeah.
But tip your hat off to them. They're a much improved football team, and I think that
what is Lake Station? The Lake Station what?
Eagles.
Okay, they're the Eagles.
Yep.
Okay, I wasn't sure, but anyway.
Yep.
They're a good team.
So they're much improved, and I'm glad that they are. The last couple of years coaching against them, it was you felt a little bad because you knew those kids. Those kids still go out to practice at 3:00. They still practice till 5:30, 6:00. They're still putting in the work, and they're not getting anything out of it. When you're finishing games and you're canceling games because you don't have enough players to play, that as a football coach, as somebody who loves the game of football, that hurts you a little bit. Because you want everybody to enjoy the same thing that you enjoy. There's a reason why I love this game, and I think that everybody should love this game if they just gave it a fair shake. And when you see that stuff kind of happening, it's kind of like, that's just not fair to those kids who are working hard and trying. So, I'm glad that they're having the success they're having. I don't want them to beat us. But I'm glad that they're successful. A 3-3 Lake Station team, which is where they're sitting at right now, is well deserved. That community, that team, that administration, they've put in the hard work to get to where they're at right now, and I got to appreciate that as a football person.
Yeah, well, and we talked about this earlier in the broadcast with Marc Hall of the West Central Trojans. Yesterday, I talked with Harold Welter, and he said the fact that he saw Marc in his earlier years where he was having a tough time getting some wins together, and now here we are in year 9 of Marc Hall, and he's having a heck of a season. He's 5-1 right now.
Yeah.
So, and that's the part of what you're saying is it's awesome to see these teams every year that you watch and see them struggle, and then when they have a good year, you're happy for them because you know the struggle that they've been through.
Yeah, exactly. This game's real easy when you're winning all the time.
Yeah.
It's real easy to say, yeah, I love the game. I love football. These kids are working hard. These kids deserve everything they got. That's easy to say when you're winning. When you're losing, it's not that easy to say. And I've seen a lot of people get out of the game as a coach or as a player because they haven't seen the successes. And when somebody puts in the time and puts in the effort and continues on after having that struggle, I just have to applaud that. That's great. We were talking about it, me and my assistant coaches this morning, was how West Central won last night and how they're sitting at 5-1 and how who would have thought? Because everybody's got in their mindset that this is the West Central, this is the South Newton, this is the Lake Station of years past.
Sure.
And when you see coaches sticking with it and you see programs building, it's a good thing. It's never good for a team to struggle all the time. And when they get a little bit of success, that's just going to build off of it. Them sitting at like West Central sitting at 5-1, Lake Station sitting at 3-3. That's just going to help them down the road.
Sure.
When they can be successful, that's going to get more kids wanting to play. It's now they see that it is fun. It's not just work all the time.
Right.
It's not just going out there and getting your head beat in, and the kids will start flocking towards the program, which makes your program even better. As a struggling, we're struggling this year, and every coach that has ever had a struggling season just says we just need more kids. If we had more kids, well, that's great, but how do you get the kids? You got to be successful. When you're successful, kids come.
Well, we had a moment last night during the broadcast where Chris said he noticed that the Culver Academy Eagles had sent in fresh defensive players, and the first thing that popped into my head was, well, Buzz Schoff doesn't have that.
Right.
Buzz Schoff doesn't have
we just
that
turn around.
luxury.
We just turn around and we're playing a different position.
Yeah, Chris was down on the sidelines. Yeah, they've really worn this Eagles team out. They're bringing in fresh legs, and I'm thinking, well, Buzz Schoff doesn't have that. There's other guys around here that doesn't have that. That's a luxury when it comes to.
Oh yeah.
And these are the things I'm learning in football here. As you're looking at Lake Station, I actually have an interesting story about Lake Station. Back in 2014, I believe this was at Lake Station. I was doing a broadcast with Tony Ross for Max 98.3, our sister station, Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WYMR, and the power went out. The whole stadium lights went out. It was dark on the field. Our broadcast booth went dead. Everything was dead. The whole school's power just went out. So we were off the air. Well, Tony pulls out his cell phone and he calls back to the station, and we patch through, and that's how we did the broadcast until they brought the lights back on. I think it was like 45 minutes to an hour later. That's my Lake Station story. That's why I asked you if they were I didn't know if they were the Eagles, or I just wanted to make sure and jog my memory. That's been 8 years ago now. But yeah, I'm down on the sideline. I was the sideline reporter at that time, and I'm just down on the sideline, and all of a sudden the lights just go out, and I could barely get myself off the field. That's how dark it was that night. I'll never forget that Lake Station story. But yeah, that was kind of a weird. I'll have to go back through the archives. We record all that stuff. I'll have to go back to the archives see if I can find that game. But all right, you're looking forward to River Forest. Never heard of that school. A 3A school.
Yeah, so River Forest and Lake Station, their schools are 4 miles apart. So
interesting.
I think what separates them is a railroad track, if I'm not mistaken. They're right next to each other. So
in the same.
Same
community
area.
Almost.
Oh yeah, same kid. So like the kids from Lake Station last night, there were 3 or 4 of them that are River Forest transfers. So River Forest is I kind of view them as like the big dog in our side of the conference. Mm-hmm. They're the 3A school in the 2A conference. There's a lot. There's a little bit riding on next week's game for them, for us. So we play them for what's called the minnow bucket. Mm-hmm. Now, if you ask anybody why we play for the minnow bucket, nobody really knows. We just play for it.
That's what it's called, the minnow bucket.
So it's a aluminum minnow bucket, like for fishing.
Okay.
And it's painted with blue and red and maroon and gold on both sides. So it's just a traveling trophy that gets passed on to the winner of the game. I guess it came back when there was the Lake County Conference.
Okay.
All right. So the Lake County Conference was a thing. I don't know how far back it was, but Lake Station and South Central were the only 2 schools in that conference that played football.
Really?
So they just made this like
the conference championship. I gotcha.
And we just play for it still. Neither one of us are in that conference anymore. We have no other affiliation
but
other
it's
than
still
playing
part
football.
of the tradition.
So it's just part of it. Yep. And you still pass it along, and
so it's up for grabs.
So it's up for grabs. Yep. And we were able to win it last year from them to secure a spot as the conference championship last year. This year, if they win out, they win the conference outright. If we beat them, then they share the conference with Boone Grove. They've never won the conference outright
ever.
So
this is
they're going to be excited for this game. They're going to be pumped up for this game. So we got the minnow bucket, and they're playing for a conference championship. So we have the opportunity to be kind of that, ruiner of your fate, I guess. And it's not going to come easy, but it's doable. We're still talking about high school kids. You never know what can happen. I know that they played Bishop Knoll last night and ended up beating them 43-6 or something like that. But they lost to Whiting the week before, 13-12 or 14-13, something like that, a 1-point game. So again, it's kind of, I don't know what we're going to get. Still waiting on the film exchange this morning, but we know what to expect from River Forest. They're going to be big. They're going to be physical. They're going to run a style of offense that's just going to try to run it down your throat, and defensively they're going to fly around. And we're never going to be in a position where we're bigger than anybody or faster than anybody. But I'll put our kids' heart against anybody. Our kids don't know what it's like to give up. They don't know how to do that.
No, it sounds like it.
So, it should be an interesting game.
I hope they're listeing. Do they know you're here this morning?
I'm sure they're trying, but
good.
They
well, we've been rooting for them all year.
They're great kids, and I love what I do because of the kids that I have am able to coach. If our kids took this as whatever, it doesn't matter, who cares, this would be a hard job. But our kids come every day and they're ready
Makes it worth showing up.
They're ready to learn, and they're doing their film study, and they're getting better, and they're trying to figure it out. They have suggestions, just like we come in Monday and they'll have a suggestion of, hey coach, in this formation we should try this, or what if we did this, or hey coach, what do you think about this play, or coach, what would
really
we
look up to you.
So it's like, I like this.
They're interesting.
All right, but and we're having fun. It's fun. It's really hard sitting at 1-5 if you don't love your kids that you're going to practice every day.
Sure.
If you got kids that you don't want to be around, this job is real hard. But if you like going out there every day, and it's not all about football all the time. We are trying to make good men out of young people. And at some point, they're going to be the leaders of the community. They're going to go out and they're going to do great things. They're not going to play in the NFL. Like, that's just probably not in the cards for anybody on our field at this point. Not saying that they can't. If that's the dream they want, go fulfill your dream. But that's not our goal. My goal is not to get you.
Yeah, you're not
to the
worried
NFL.
about that. You're worried
My
about
job is to make sure that you treat your wife right, and you raise your kids correctly, and you give something back to the community.
And
What can you do for the world as opposed to the world doing something for you?
And you learn from the hard times.
Yeah,
I said that earlier in the broadcast. I think a lot of things that I've learned in my life are from failures. If I didn't go through that failure, I don't think I would have come out of it as positively as I had and learned from those situations. Sometimes you got to go through things you don't want to go through to get to where you want to go.
Absolutely.
And, not to be a coach like Coach Radtke and copy him today, but my grandfather had a good quote that said, he always said, progress always involves risk. You can't steal second base with your foot on first.
Right.
So you've got to be willing to take those chances and go for it and make things happen. And if they don't go your way, you'll learn from it. Either way, you're going to win from the situation.
Yeah, exactly. You learn more about yourself when you fail than you do when you succeed. And
I agree with that.
Multiple failures end up with multiple successes, and we want the successes just like anybody else wants the successes. But we just got to understand that sometimes you're going to fail, and how you react to that failure, that's what dictates the rest of your life. Not how great you were.
Yeah.
What'd you do when something didn't go your way? How did you react to it?
Well, I sure do appreciate your time this morning, Buzz. Every week you're here, and it means a lot to me. I know you're driving, about a half hour to get here, probably?
Yeah,
Every bit of it.
Yeah,
so
probably.
I appreciate that. It means a lot, and to all our coaches that come in, it really means a lot that you guys want to take the time and have a chat. Sorry Chris wasn't here. The softball questions were easy. I hope you knocked him out. It sounded like you knocked him out of the park to me, but Chris will be back next week to really grind in and find out about this South Central Union Mills Satellites team.
Well, that's all right. I got to get to Westville. My son is playing in his championship basketball game today.
Yeah, we talked about that last weekend. Maybe a runner-up for Athlete of the Week, maybe in a few years,
Yeah, the Westville Kindergarten's taking on the Westville third grade.
He had, 6 points?
He had 6 points in the big upset win over the.
And it was
over
what,
the first
12
grade.
to
12 to 8.
So he had 50% of the points.
So,
they know who to get the ball to.
I don't have the heart to tell him that, son, you just ain't a basketball player. But
compared to the other players, he's getting 6 out of the 12 points.
He's gonna be 5'9" if he's lucky, and he's.
Hey, and one of my good friends, he was a 5'9" point guard, one of the better point guards in the state of Indiana the year of 2011, and he made things happen. So I've seen 5'9" point guards do some damage in Indiana high school basketball.
And he's a lefty, so maybe that'll.
So I'll tell you a story about a lefty. So I went to Rushville High School in Indiana, and this lefty, his name was Kyle Morgan. And, man, did he have the sweetest stroke you'd ever seen. I mean, he could just hit everything. And he was tough to guard because he was able to go left.
Yep.
And, you're always taught really to keep him going right, to keep him from going right.
Yep.
So, naturally, it's hard to keep a player from going left because you're used to them wanting to go right.
Yep.
And when a player that's a lefty has that down, they can be very dangerous, especially if their form is in point. A lot of lefties have tough shooting form, but if their form is sharp, boy, they are tough to guard. A lefty can be hard for a lot of defenders. Yeah. So you never know. Your son might be the next lefty point guard coming out of Northern Indiana here.
You never know.
Well, we'll definitely keep an eye on him.
I'm sure his grandfather would appreciate him playing basketball, but not really my
more of a
forte.
Football guy.
But his mom will be a little happy.
Did you see my eyes light up? I got juiced up when we started talking about basketball. Did you see that?
I enjoy watching basketball. I just don't understand it. I don't.
See, you'll have to tune in to the Saturday Sports Line, and once I've learned from you during the football season, you'll be able to learn a little bit from me maybe in basketball. I'm really excited about the basketball season.
It should be fun. Our basketball coach out at South Central, Eric Spear, he's in my classroom, 2 or 3 days a week, and we're just talking about kids and talking about how he's looking forward to the basketball season and how hard his kids are working and how he's waiting for our kids to get into the gym to improve that, and it should be exciting. We're hoping that they struggled a little bit last year, but I think he's sticking with it, and I think the cards are falling where they need to go. So it's going to be exciting, and anytime sports is going on,
there's excitement.
You can't not smile. So
I appreciate your time today. I actually, when I talked to Zach Kimmel a couple of weeks ago, he told me he was on the basketball team as well, so we're looking forward to him. He was our Athlete of the Week a couple of weeks ago, and you notice I didn't stop by and see you in class. I was always known to skip math class, so sorry about that.
That's all right.
Sorry about that, Coach. All right, head coach of the South Central Satellites of Union Mills, that's head coach Buzz Schoff. Thank you so much for your time. And we're going to take a break and come back. Where Are They Now segment is next. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
The way we used to be, the way we used to be, it ain't all the same.
Since 1936, Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning have always taken pride in doing the job right. Third-generation owner Bryan Hammond and his family have always set the standard when it comes to taking care of all your heating and cooling needs. Making your home a comfortable home is the absolute top priority. If you are uncomfortable in your home, give them a call at 574-936-4660. Follow them on Facebook. Let Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning help you take control of your comfort.
Coke knows there's nothing better than the beat of the summer. The beat begins in a simple and mellow place, from low-key to hyped up. So we're helping you and your friends drink it all in with 100 days of the artist's experiences, tracks, and concerts with the best names in music, all at Coke Studio. Drink, scan, and enjoy your Coke so you never miss out on all the amazing offers we're dropping this summer.
It's time now for Where Are They Now? A look back at more than a half century of WKVI radio covering local high school sports. Today's program is brought to you by Osborne's Mini Marts in Knox and Culver. Now let's meet one of the local high school sports figures from more than 50 years of WKVI sports and find out where are they now.
As we look back on more than 50 years of broadcasting high school sports in the Kankakee Valley here on WKVI, our guest is Mike Harter. He is a former football coach at West Central High School, and we call this segment, Where Are They Now? Well, anyone who knows Mike knows where he is now because he's where he's been for past 30-plus years, and that is teaching and helping kids at West Central High School.
I wanted to reminisce with Mike Harter, former football coach at West Central High School, and coached some other things, and he's been around sports like forever. And he is, as a matter of fact, has been a radio sportscaster for some time now down in Monticello. But, Mike, I wanted to go back and talk with you about those days as being a head football coach at West Central. And I guess the first thing is, what's the one game all these years later that you can't get out of your mind?
Tim Roth and Winamac beat us by less than a touchdown, and we thought we had the goal line down on the south side of the end zone going towards Royal Center, and the referee said we didn't score. That's probably the big one. And then the other one wasn't the head coach, but I was an assistant coach. Would have been winning the conference when we lost to Pioneer by kind of the same thing. Our guy's shoulders were across the line, but the ball was down at his belly and didn't cross the line, and they beat us by 3 points.
So those close losses, even after all these years.
Yeah. The close ones are the ones that hurt. They're the ones that you think maybe one play you could have done something different. But we always had great competition against Tim and Winamac and against Mike Johnson and Pioneer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the fact that you have been involved in sports in a lot of different ways, and it's always been an important part of your life. Tell me about growing up. Who were some of the people that influenced you, that helped you get into education and into coaching?
For education, it had to be my history teacher, Chuck Stevens, and Mr. Mulkey, my U.S. history teacher. Those guys were just great, and I kind of try to model myself after them a little bit, where you got to let the kids have some fun in history class. You debate a lot, let them have their opinions, and just, history is kind of great because you can look back and say, what if? In math, which my wife teaches, 2 + 2 is always 4. Never changes. History, we can look back and say, what if? And I think that gives the kids some freedom. For coaching, hey, it's Ron Wilson. Ron Wilson was my high school football coach who left Hagerstown and went to Knox.
Right.
And then went to Maconaquah. And when I was the head coach at Pioneer, I got to coach against Ron Wilson. And we're still very good friends on Facebook. That game was ironic that I'm calling a play and he's shouting out the same play because I basically used his playbook. So it's right 44 dive, and I'm calling the play out. And those three guys probably are why I got into education and coaching.
You've been around a lot of athletes as a coach, as a teacher, when you were playing, etc. What is the value of high school sports to people later in life?
I think it's the friendships you develop. I mean, it took me a long time to call Coach Wilson Ron. I have kids today. I'm still Coach Harter or Mr. Harter. I think it's the friendship, the respect, and when we go back to our reunions, we talk about sports. We still, this will be our 50th reunion coming up. We're going to talk about beating Cambridge City or Centerville or something like that. We're going to talk about the baseball game the small single-A school, Hagerstown, lost to Newcastle on a balk that probably wasn't a balk, but there's those things we remember, and just the connections. And I think that, and I also think it makes you say, hey, I've got to work if I want to play. And that's like life. If you want to succeed in life, you got to put some effort into it. And same thing with sports.
We're talking with Mike Harter, former football coach at West Central High School, who's been around high school sports for a long, long time as a coach, as a mentor of young people, and as a sportscaster on the radio as well. And we'll continue our conversation with Mike after this time out.
Need a game plan that has your day covered from tip-off to the buzzer? Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox has you covered. Whether you like to start out with a caffeinated full-court press or control the tempo with a Subway breakfast flatbread, Osborne's Mini Mart has what you need. Don't get trapped in the corner with an empty stomach. Call a quick timeout and get 2 hot dogs for $1.29. Visit Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox at the corner of US 35 and Highway 8 East to guarantee you win the day.
Our guest here on our Where Are They Now segment is Mike Harter, former football coach at West Central High School.
Tell me, finally, what advice you would give to younger athletes who want to have success going forward. Maybe they have some people they look up to. What's the best advice you can give that middle school or early high school athlete?
2 things. I mean, one, you have to be willing to put in the time. You know, it's not going to come naturally unless you're, Walter Payton. There's a lot, but even he had to work at it. You've got to be willing to invest your time. If you invest, things are worth it. And the second thing is have some fun. If you're not having any fun at sports, if you're not having any fun at a job, if you're not having any fun just your recreation, it's not worth doing. It's more, of a pain. Sports are supposed to, yes, in high school, we need to win. But some of the best things I have with kids here were we didn't win a game for first 1 or 2 years here at West Central. We had a lot of fun. Those kids are still remembering me, and luckily for those kids and the fact that Chuck Mellon gave me an opportunity to turn this program around, it has been, because West Central in the 90s was about ready to drop football. Right. And those 30 kids that came out my first year and didn't win a game, they're part of responsible for what Coach Hall has going now, that they're 4-1. The fact that we got to the semi-state with Brad Urban a couple of years ago, those kids kept this dream alive at West Central.
Mike, thanks for taking time and visiting with us. It's always fun, and we like to do these interviews because we find people who understand, as you do, that the games do matter.
Well, thanks, Harold. And I want to thank you for a lot of things you've done for me in my classroom. I remember going with Tim Roth and you to Bremen to some football games doing the radio, and I've been able to do that for the last 7 or 8 years and thoroughly enjoy it. And, go Trojans. Let's keep rolling.
Our guest has been Mike Harter, former football coach at West Central High School. Join us again next week on the Saturday Sports Line for Where Are They Now?
Where Are They Now? A look back at more than a half-century of high school sports coverage on WKVI has been brought to you by Osborne's Mini Marts in Knox and Culver.
Join us each Saturday morning on WKVI for the Saturday Sports Line and worldwide on WKVI.com.
All right, Harper under center, sets his man in motion. He takes the snap, flips it over to Cheyenne Allen, who jumps over a defender. He leaped right over him. Touchdown, Blue Jays, as the Blue Jays are making an effort to make sure the Culver Academy Eagles know who they are. 26-10 here in North Judson.
And that was last night as Cheyenne Allen had that big play. So glad to bring you some clips from last night's game, as it's time now for our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week, given in memory of Tyler Roth, the 2001 graduate of Winamac High School who died in an auto accident 1 week after his high school graduation. Today's award is brought to you by Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac, and we'll tell you who's earned the Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week after this word from Web Printing.
Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack and signs of all kinds in Winamac is where all of your printing needs can be met. Whether it's paper, garments, or signs, Web Printing is your full-service printing solution. So if you're in need of embroidered or screen-printed garments, tickets or programs for your event, or documents for your business, Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack is the place to go. For the quickest service, best prices, and best quality, it's Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac.
Our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week for this week is Connor Marlatt, a member of the football team at West Central. Connor has had an amazing season thus far for the Trojans. As the quarterback and defensive back for West Central, Connor has shown his athletic ability for the first 5 weeks, now 6 of the football season in style. In the win over North Newton last week, Connor had 6 carries for 85 yards with 2 rushing touchdowns, 3 for 4 passing with 1 passing touchdown and a 2-point rushing conversion, Connor is also a great student on the A and B honor roll. Connor is the son of Jennifer and Scott Marlatt and is also a member of the basketball team at West Central. Congratulations to Connor Marlatt of West Central High School, our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. Connor will receive a certificate, a history of the award, and a t-shirt commemorating their achievement and will also be a future guest on the Saturday Sports Line. I'll work on getting that interview as the Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week is brought to you by Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack. Another week down, 1 week until we bring back Chris McGowan. We hope he's doing well today. I'm Mitch Columby. We're so glad you joined us here on the Saturday Sports Line. Until next Friday, we will be in Winamac, West Central at Winamac, the cross-county matchup. Pre-game starts at 7:30 Eastern. You know who it is. We'll be there. Take care. Until next week, have a good one.
And so we find ourselves